What's up, guys? This is Acid Roots. Welcome to 2021. So, I'm going to review Jay-Z's double album from 2002, the Blueprint², The Gift and the Curse. This was kind of a project that, as I saw, like the reception on it in later years, kind of was shown as something that didn't quite fit the bill, and that's kind of disappointing that it wasn't hailed. I mean, honestly, it's very difficult to nail a double album as a classic couple of albums, and the only people who've been proven to be able to do it with like this unanimous reception on it are Tupac and Biggie in the rap community, and both of them are dead. So it's obvious. It's like, well, rappers at some point sometimes will be like, well, I bet I could do a double album. And I don't think that was Jay-Z's necessarily mentality, but he did have an adamant approach at dropping a double album, and to boot, it was the sequel to one of his best albums, the Blueprint². So he came off of that and basically dropped it a year later. And although the Blueprint² is not a classic, I would almost say it's pretty close for a double album, because here's how it went. On both discs to the Blueprint², I liked 7 songs out of 11. I did not like any of the bonus songs. So originally there were 25 songs, but in the standard packaging there's 22 songs plus 3 bonus songs, which makes 25. So I didn't like any of the 3 bonus songs, and then on each of the 4 discs I did not like 4. So that is 8 subtracted from 22, which would be 14 out of 22 that I enjoyed. But coming from like a regular album, me liking 7 songs out of 11 is actually pretty good. I mean, that's that's a little bit, approximately 70% of the project. So this is kind of the situation. For it to be exactly even on both, it's kind of like, well, me not liking 8 songs out of 22 is kind of somewhat large, but then obviously adding those extra 3 songs, so me only liking 14 songs out of 25. So you get how it's kind of confusing as to how that goes, but just appreciating like the standard 22 song package without the bonus songs, that's pretty damn good. And I reviewed Afro Man back in October, and he did a very stellar job considering that he dropped like 28, 30 songs, and I wound up liking like 18 of those, and I gave Afro Man a 6. And it's like, well, what's going on here? You're telling me that Afro Man can drop a better double album than Jay-Z? I mean, that's debatable, but I would just have to say Jay-Z did a pretty stellar job. That just happens to be the situation. And as like I was saying, it's difficult for rappers to drop classic double albums. I mean, if you can do that, you should basically be at the forefront. So that's just kind of the situation. But to get throughout the project, I mean, basically Jay-Z had an assortment of producers. He's got Timbaland on there. He's got Just Blaze on there. He's got Kanye West on there. And he also has the Neptunes, who really, each of the Neptunes' 4 songs that were on this project were highlights. I mean, Pharrell really was contemporary, and he had like a very glowing after effect that helped out this project. And I feel without those songs, this project would have probably been a lot weaker. And Kanye West helped quite a bit also. Just Blaze, I think, was on the original Blueprint. He didn't quite drop as many classics on this project as he did on that, but Kanye and the Neptunes really did. And then Beyonce helped out with the singles, but we'll just get to the singles now. So the first single was '03 Bonnie and Clyde, which Tupac made a song like called that. It's a similar beat and similar theme, but the difference is Tupac was referring to his gun or his weapon in that song, and Jay-Z is referring to his main thing, Beyonce. And that was kind of the situation. I mean, 2003 was basically one of the breakout years where they confirmed their relationship, and it was kind of, it was a big topic back in 2003, and it's a pretty solid single. It can be romantic and have like a good pitch to it. So I used to not listen to it, but I enjoy it more now. That's kind of the thing. But the next single is Hovey Baby. And this one's kind of an awkward song because I haven't really listened to it that much, but it is a good song. And this is not one of my favorite Jay-Z singles. That's kind of the thing. It's contemporary. It's contemporary Jay-Z, and he sounds more pedestrian on this song than he got in later years. I mean, he sounded so like elite on the Black Album and Kingdom Come and American Gangster. So this is really like the last kind of pedestrian, not quite multi-millionaire Jay-Z as far as like a single that you would hear on the radio. So that's a nice pitch, and I like the song, but like I said, it's not one of my favorites, but it is good. And then Excuse Me Miss is probably the best of the three singles that he released from this double album. It's extremely solid. Pharrell almost steals the show with how infectious his hook is and his kind of extra backing vocals on the song. And Jay-Z just has like a real suave, kind of flirtatious, in a sophisticated way kind of thing. So these are, I mean, two of the songs are for ladies, but this one's probably the more stylish. It's not so much relationship material, but it still works extremely well. So to talk about the rest of the album, like I said, there's 22 songs standardly, but there's a lot of stuff that's kind of like back and forth here. So that's kind of the situation to talk about. Uh, I guess I'll just get to it. I mean, I'll start by just talking about the songs that I enjoyed, and then I'll go through with the rest of the project. So, like I said, 14 songs out of 22 that I wound up enjoying, and those were Excuse Me Miss, A Dream, '03 Bonnie and Clyde, Poppin' Tags, The Bounce with Kanye West, Somehow, Someway, Too Many Hoes, Nigga Please, Fuck All Night, Diamonds Are Forever, or Diamond Is Forever, The Blueprint², Ballad for a Fallen Soldier, for the Fallen Soldiers. I'm kind of forgetting the names of some of these because I didn't write them all. Ballad for the Fallen Soldier, Hovey Baby, and As One, the posse cut. That's a lot, so I'll go over it, yeah. So, just to talk about a few of these. So I'll go in detail on some of the true highlights, the ones that have like the most magnetic appeal right off the bat. I feel like The Bounce with Kanye West is a real underappreciated song. It's a Jay-Z club song. I mean, there's rappers like Eminem, Dr. Dre, folks like that that don't really do contemporary going out, outgoing kind of songs. Jay-Z did that a number of times, and most of the time he nailed it extremely well. This is such a song. The Bounce is really good. Poppin' Tags is a real good, lavish kind of spending songs, implies that you have money. A Dream is a nice song that reflects on Biggie's death and just reflecting on bad times and such. Diamond Is Forever has a really good beat, and I like the approach on that song. The Blueprint² had a really good beat also, but it felt just so imposing. Nigga Please sounds like a real late song. Sounds like you're listening to that at like 3 or 4 in the morning when Pharrell's like, keep the change, it's too late for that. It's real kind of suave to sit there and say it right at the beginning. A Ballad for the Fallen Soldier has like nice production. It's not quite contemporary, but it really sparkles. And As One is a great posse song that has like a bunch of rappers on there, and the beat's really good, and they nail it pretty well. Too Many Hoes is another type club song that works, and those are just some of the ones. So just to talk about a few of them. So there's some contemporary songs like Too Many Hoes, Nigga Please, Poppin' Tags, The Bounce, Excuse Me Miss, '03 Bonnie and Clyde, kind of Hovey Baby, some of those type things. But there are some other personalities. I'm glad that Jay-Z didn't fall into the trap of dropping like 2 singles that are kind of contemporary and then like 10 or 15 other songs that are just personal stories of hardship and, grit and that sort of stuff. I mean, there is stuff like that, but it's not overwhelmingly so. And that's kind of what bogs down a lot of double albums. But there are some songs on here that I didn't like that I wish would have. I mean, he pulls like a lot of songs that are from other albums. '03 and Bonnie and Clyde's from Tupac, The Watchers from Chronic 2001, and You Don't Know is from the original Blueprint, and that sort of stuff. So there are some songs on here that could have been replaced with other Jay-Z projects. I didn't like The Watcher 2. I mean, I didn't really feel like a Chronic 2001 song really fit Jay-Z's East Coast style. I mean, I liked what he was doing with this project. Dr. Dre's theme did not fit Jay-Z's theme. Even if you have Rakim and Dr. Dre and the rest of them on there, it wasn't like it just didn't match like the aesthetic. And I felt like All Around the World was just a little bit too choir like in the hook. I didn't like the hook on that song. It was kind of soulful. I mean, Jay-Z tried to do soulful like he did on the original Blueprint, but it didn't quite come off as well this time. One example of a good soulful song was Somehow, Some Way. That really nailed it, but All Around the World didn't. And then the Blueprint 2 did, but I'm trying to think of another. Some People Hate did not. I mean, Kanye West kind of flopped on that song. So, I mean, I was trying to figure out the direction. That was just like a real introspective song, but I don't know. I mean, it was just talking about haters, but it was just not too interesting. It wasn't too melodic on how it did it, but it did have a good sample. And Guns N' Roses kind of did like a rock tins Jay-Z, which once again didn't work that well. I mean, it's kind of a pounding beat, but it didn't really fit Jay-Z that well. And those are just a few of the things that kind of go along. I didn't like You Don't Know. It was that one was too noisy. I don't really complain like I don't say too noisy is a complaint most of the time, but uh, this was not that attractive a song. So those are just some of the ones. So that's kind of the situation and talk about that album as a whole. So yeah, to sit there and reference that. So me liking 14 out of 22, I'm just going to give this album a 6 out of 10. I think that that's solid. Me not liking 4 songs on each disc, that's really good, but that's also basically 2/3 of the project that I did like, a little bit less than 2/3. So I figured a 6 is solid enough. I mean, 14 songs that I did like is solid. I mean, that's definitely good. It's worth buying at the price that you want to pay for it, especially considering that it's almost 20 years old. But a real thing that bogged down the project was just the fact that I didn't like the bonus songs. If I would have counted those, I could have counted them if I would have liked them, but I probably would have given this album like a 5 or something, just a basically average project because the bonus songs really didn't fit the bill. I mean, I felt like the song "Bitches and Sisters" was a song. That was another song he pulled from like Biggie. I felt like Biggie did that beat on uh, "Ready to Die," and it wasn't that good of one. "Show You How" wasn't a good one, and this the rest they just weren't good. I mean, I don't know how the bonus tracks can wind up being worse. They didn't feel like much of a bonus. So it's kind of the situation. So it gets a 6 out of 10. Definitely solid. I mean, when I give a double album a 6, that definitely means you should purchase it just because there's not many people who can drop classic double albums. That's kind of the situation. So, but, to talk about the social score, I'll basically give that a 9 just because I liked all 3 of the singles, and I do think there should have been a 4th one. I bet you if he would have promoted The Bounce with Kanye West, that would have charted pretty high. Kanye could have used it. I mean, he broke out at late 2003, and that would have been a nice kind of precursor to show off what he was about. I mean, that really you would have thought the promotion would have helped both of them out pretty well. Plus, it was a club song, but there was no 4th single. And I do think double albums should have a lot of promotion just because you need something to kind of get you through the digestion of the project. But for what it is, it's a good project. So that's just the whole thing. You just got to understand that Jay-Z basically did it with just a few notches and errors here and there.